Oh. This video is actually harder to make than I thought. Dang it. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am gonna be critiquing some of my followers' work. I put up a story on Instagram telling you guys to put your work under the hashtag Sam's Art Crits. I'm gonna go through them right now and point out some things that you've done well and some things that you didn't do so well. So there are over 200 posts in this hashtag already, so I'm not going to be able to get through everybody's work, but I feel like even if your work isn't chosen, you could still probably get something valuable out of this video and you could maybe learn a new thing or two. Alright, so let's get started. I'm just going to scroll through the hashtag and see what I can find. Is that Poe? Is that Kung Fu Panda? Okay, so here's one by Serpentire, I believe. I really like the pose and the gesture in this one. I think the vibrant colors look really good and they work really well. But one thing, so as I'm going to show you guys here, this is a very common mistake that I see a lot of people make. I want you guys to take note of the corners of the eyes. Now you can see there is a corner right here, and then this corner is right here. And honestly, like, I make this mistake a lot too, and this is just like when you connect the corners of the eyes, you can see that line is almost horizontal, and that is not what we want. So because the head is on a tilt, you can see the head is on an angle here. Now that means this line that connects the corners of the eyes is going to be perpendicular to this vertical line. So that's going to create a 90-degree angle right here. It's, you know, unless your face is very uneven, it's going to create something that looks like this. This is a really common thing that I see a lot of people do. It's like you want to make sure that the corners, the inner corners of your eyes are lined up together on the same line and that they're not shifting as your character tilts their head. Tilted heads are actually surprisingly hard to draw because they're, you know, you usually think that the eyes sit on the same line, and then as soon as the head tilts, it's like, oh, everything is like all thrown off. My goodness, is it Spooktober already? This is by Zyme, inspired by Sam Does Art. So I see what you're trying to do here. You're trying to stylize your character. You're going for like a bit of that cartoony look. I can see like you're extending the nose and you're enlarging the eyes. For you, I would personally go and try to learn a little bit more about anatomy, like the anatomy, the actual anatomy of the human head, or, you know, human body, whatever it is that you're trying to draw, before you actually try to stylize it. This is because once you have a basic understanding of something, you're gonna have a much easier time actually knowing when to stretch something and when not to stretch something. So for example here, so here's a skull shape, but I feel like you've extended the face down a little bit too much, so it looks like the whole head is stretched. When you're stylizing a character, you gotta, like, there are certain areas that you can play around with and enlarge and stretch, but there are also like other like underlying structures that you should probably try to keep the same. Honestly, if you're looking for your own style, there's no need to rush it. The more studies that you do, the more drawing that you do, the more comfortable you are with your subject, that's gonna come naturally as you go. Ooh, look at this one. I really like the rendering on this one, actually. Like, the backlighting looks fantastic. You've got great skin tones going on here, like the slightly more red, the warmer tone in the fingertips and the warmer tone at the elbow. Like, that's all fantastic. And I'm gonna see, like, you have like a warmer tone in the face. That's excellent. The only thing that's throwing me off a little bit is the hair on her right side. Not sure if it's supposed to be like that. I mean, I don't have a reference. So usually when I'm painting a character, I would try to think about the structure of their skull underneath the hair. So hair is, it's like this fluffy thing that sits on top of your head that just covers up the structure that's underneath, but it doesn't actually change the structure underneath. So for something like this, you know, I would like draw out the skull. I mean, for your character, I'm not sure where that would be. Probably something like that. Once you have this structure in there, you gotta think about, okay, how's that hair gonna react to the structure underneath? And for me personally, I mean, like, she would probably have ears over here, but for me, I don't see how it would come out this far this way. I mean, unless you know, added in, like, maybe it's like a stray strand or something on the side. Now I think that would look a little bit more natural, but that's a small nitpick, honestly. Like your rendering is excellent. I really like this piece actually. So good job. Wow. Wow. That is a beautiful horse. Someone put a picture of a flower in here. Like, do you want to get roasted? Okay, so I got another one. This is a fun little pose that you decided to do. First of all, you got to add a shadow to the bottom. You'd be surprised how much depth a shadow can add to your character. You know, you want them to look like they're sitting in space. Another thing that I notice here is the arm. So her left arm, this right here, it looks a little bit long, and for like I understand like why this happened. It's because of the big baggy sweater on top of your character that you had to draw, and sometimes big baggy clothing can really throw off what we know about the anatomy of our characters. So with something like this, I mean, I would recommend you study anatomy a little bit more so that you get a better understanding of how the human body is built. Now I'm just gonna draw over this so you can like I would assume there would be a rib cage or something in there, and then there's the pelvis. I would actually maybe even bring it down a little bit further, and then there would be like a foreshortening of the leg, and the knee it would probably be a bit higher. So a lot of things to think about here. I mean, like you really want to try to see where the body is underneath the clothing, and how you're going to be able to do this is by studying a lot of anatomy and human figure drawings and things like that. So another thing is the line at the ankle. It's kind of going up at this kind of an angle when you know, it's connecting back to this knee joint right here, right? So we would probably see something a little bit steeper, and again, same goes for the bottom one. You got it going up at this angle, and then the leg is coming all the way down here. So it's just about seeing through it. Like, don't worry about this thing in front. You know, the arm doesn't break the lines that connect the leg, is what I'm trying to say. That's a nice horse. Horses are not easy to draw, so the fact that you were able to capture a horse so well is fantastic. Guys, go follow Lazy Looney for more. Okay, so this one is by I'm not even gonna try, but this is a nice little portrait with a nice little background. I appreciate that you did the background, so good job on that. And I really like how you treated the lighting. You're confident with the darks and the lights, and you're not afraid of contrast, which I think is great. I would say you have a good understanding of light and shadows, but there's always a but. I'm going to show you right here. You would see on the horizon, and this is because of the atmosphere that is on planet Earth, and towards the horizon, the colors are going to look a little bit more washed out. So you're going to get a bit lighter, less saturated color towards the horizon line. And when you add this hazy effect of the atmosphere, it'll really convey that, you know, that depth, that like distance. So that's one thing. Another thing is, I'm gonna just zoom in here. It looks to me like the mouth area here is sitting on a different angle than the rest of the face. Because when you smile, like it takes a lot, like I have to really tilt my head over. I don't know if you can see me anywhere, for the teeth to come in front of the cheek behind it. And yeah, like I personally, like I mean, I don't have your reference photo obviously, but you know, I would imagine like the cheek would come out a little bit, just a little bit more, you know, and then you might see like a little bit more of the lip over there. You know, I would imagine you would be able to see that side of the face as well. So that's something to keep in mind. And for you, I would just recommend study a bit more like facial anatomy and things like that. That's going to help you a lot, because you have a pretty good understanding of rendering. So once you combine a good understanding of anatomy along with that, you're going to be pretty good to go. So this one is by Lucas is Bored. Nice little portrait. I actually really like how you did the expression and the pose. I think it's pretty dynamic, and your rendering of the skin is also really nicely done, so good job. The hair is naturally going to form a bunch of different shapes as it drapes down onto your character, and that is going to create a lot of hard and soft edges. But for your drawing, I see mostly soft edges in the hair, and this is probably why it's not really conveying the texture of hair. So I'm going to do a little a little something here to show you what I mean. And I'm honestly not doing anything too crazy here. I'm literally just going in, adding in some hard shadows, some hard edges. Depending on what the light source is, you might also get some highlights. So, you know, don't be afraid to like really add in some like harder highlights and shadows in there. So you can see like now you might get a little bit more of a hint that it's hair. Now obviously like that was really quick, but you can kind of see what I'm talking about is like adding in hard edges in combination with your soft edges is going to do a lot for the textures of the hair that you're going for. Good job, Lucas. I hope you're keeping yourself entertained. And some people just came here to show off. Here's a piece by Kelly Black Art. Now I really like the way you rendered out the horns on this character. I think that they look really three-dimensional and they sit in space really well, and I like the highlights and the shadows on there. But so what I would tell you to look out for is, again, the corners of the eyes. So if you look here, I'm just gonna draw a line. Here's the corner of the right eye, and here's the corner of the left eye. And if I connect the dots, so there's a bit of a slant going on, right? So it's something to keep in mind when you're structuring a face. Is like there's a vertical line, and then there's the eye line, and the eyes, the corners, the inside corners of the eyes are going to be on that same line always. Okay, so keep that in mind. And another thing that I would say for you is to be just a little bit more confident with your lights and darks. You want to be able to add a little bit more contrast into your paintings. I'm assuming you have a light source coming from like somewhere up top. So the shadows here are actually going to be a little bit more, I think a little bit more pronounced. This is a problem that I think a lot of people have actually, is like you might be scared to add in really dark shadows. Like you think that like it might change like the form of your character, and that's like you don't want to do that, you know. But it's okay to add in dark shadows, especially when you have a light source. So think about where the light is coming from. That light is going to be hitting your character from the top, and light beams go straight. So you really just got to figure out what areas the light can touch and what areas the light doesn't touch. So in this case, you know, probably you would get a little bit more shadow, and you would probably get like darker shadows under the nose. And again, if the nose is coming out, the light is coming from up top. I see your highlight here, the light is going to be coming from this direction. It's probably going to cast a shadow of the nose, and then, you know, you might also get a darker shadow on this side depending on whether or not you have a rim light. So don't be afraid, you know, just don't be afraid to add in darker shadows and, you know, really create that sense of contrast between the lights and the darks, because that's something that I see a lot of people seem to be scared of. If there is a strong light, you're going to want to add in some dark shadows, right? So don't be afraid of that. If you don't do it, your character might look really washed out and kind of like flat, you know, as opposed to like three-dimensional. Okay, so this one is by jei.art. I like what you did with the rendering on the face. I think it's really well done. But now there's one problem, and that is the contrast between the character and the background. Generally, if you're painting a character in an environment or a portrait against the background, you want to have some contrast between that character and the background so that you can see the silhouette and your main subject stands out a little bit more as a result. Why would you put a picture of a flower in here? I don't get it. Alright, so this one as well. This one is by Lurda. Same thing as the last one, and it's the just contrast, you know, contrast between the character and the background. In this case, I would probably put a brighter background behind her so that she stands out against it a little bit more, and just let your art be seen. You know, don't try to blend it into the background. You know, you want to be proud of your character. Be like, hey, look, here's a character on a bright background. This is what I made, and I'm proud of it. This is a piece that one of my patrons decided to submit to this art critique. I hope I don't get demonetized, but there are some things that I'd like to fix here. I know I mostly draw women, but we'll give men some love too. Okay, so one thing that I can really recommend to you guys, if you need to make adjustments but you've already kind of rendered out your character, is the liquify tool in Photoshop. I don't know if the other drawing apps have this as well, but liquify is like my best friend. You know, if I need to make small edits, there are small mistakes in my drawings that I want to, you know, change, the liquify tool allows me to do it without having to render everything out again. So it's like a huge time saver. So if you can spot the mistakes, use the liquify tool by all means, and it's a really efficient way to correct your mistakes. So I'm going to use the liquify tool here to show you guys some of the things that I think could be done better in a painting like this. That there is peak male physique. Take notes, guys. Liquify tool, super helpful if you need to fix small mistakes. Again, you know, just very minor things that I decided to tweak here. Super useful tool, liquify. Highly recommend. If you see mistakes in your art, liquify. That's it for today's video. I mean, I just wanted to try this out, see if it's going to be helpful for you guys. Yeah, if your art wasn't featured in this video, I hope you still got something good out of this, because I feel like the advice that I gave a lot of these artists are things that everybody can take back and everybody can try to implement into their own work. Jesus. If you guys like this video, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I do a lot of digital art content like this. And if you guys like this idea, I could do more of these in the future. And if you guys have other ideas, feel free to leave them in the comments below and let me know. But other than that, thank you guys for watching. If you stayed around to the end, thank you so much. You are amazing. I'll see you guys on the next video. You are an absolute unit. Woo! This is probably one of the best fixes I've ever made. Yeah, you know, in the future, if you ever do want to draw a man, I think you should reference back to this piece and kind of look at how I did the proportions, because this is